Yes, good morning, everyone. Let's begin with today's lecture. In this, we are going to talk about unit step function and the second shifting property of, so this is shifting. Yes, so I already defined what is a unit step function in the previous lecture. And one more thing, okay, before proceeding with the unit step function and the second shifting property of Laplace transform, let me just discuss one question which is related with convolution theorem, or actually this is the question of solving a differential equation. So that is connected with the previous one. So let me first do that question and then we will go for second shifting property. So the question is, solve the boundary value problem y double dash plus 9y is sine 3x, y at 0 is 1, y at pi by 2 is 1. So you're clear with the meaning that this is a boundary value problem because uh, it's second order, but we are given two conditions to find the value of arbitrary constants, but those conditions are defined at two different points. So it's a 2 point boundary value problem. So there is as such not any different technique specifically, that because this is a boundary value problem, the technique is same, which is same as we solve initial value problems using Laplace transform. So we will follow the same techniques and I will show you where you have to bring that change. Yeah, so this is what is given to us. Y double dash plus 9y is sine 3x. So you take Laplace transform on both sides. So this will give you L of y double dash plus 9 L of y is L of sine 3x, and this is p square ly minus p y0 minus y dash 0 plus 9 ly is 3 over p square plus 9. We know the Laplace transform of sine 3x is 3 over p square plus 9. So this one is actually p square plus 9 Laplace transform of y minus p y0. Y0 is given to me, which is 1. So I can use this value and put it here. So p into 1 will be p. I do not know the value of y dash 0, right? But I know the value of y pi by 2. So, but here I need y dash 0, which is not known to me. So what I'll do is we will assume this is some constant y dash 0 because it has to have some value. It is just we do not know that value. We can only know that value after we know y, but that is what we were looking for. So in this question, if something is not known to you, you just assume it is a constant. So y dash 0, I'm placing c in place of it, is equal to 3 over p square plus 9. So this will give you Laplace transform of y is 3 over p square plus 9 whole square plus p over p square plus 9 plus c over p square plus 9. So the point is the question is to be solved in exactly the similar manner. It is just this c has to be treated as a constant whose value is not known to you. So it will not interfere anything in Laplace or inverse Laplace transform because constants are just going to be, coming out of the integrals or even the operators L and L inverse. So after this, it is similar. So very quickly, I'm going to do that because this part we have done already. So this will be y is going to be Laplace inverse of this, Laplace inverse of this. So in the first case, I can write this as product of two functions because here I have now the option I want to do it with method of partial fractions or I want to do it with convolution. So I'll be doing it with convolution. So I have written it as product of fp into gp types. So 3 over p square plus 9 into 1 over p square plus 9 plus, for this I don't need to use convolution theorem. This is a standard formula for cos 3x, and this is the standard formula for sine 3x. It is just this constant c will come out, and this will be by 3 sine 3x, right? Because for sine 3x it had to be 3 over p square plus 9. That 3 is not there, so you have to multiply and divide with 3. So that will give you c by 3 sine 3x. So it's very easy to see. For the second and third term we have already got Laplace inverse. It is only about the first term where we have to use convolution theorem, right? So I'm just skipping this one. So this, I'm just telling you, you try this yourself, it's easy. So you evaluate by convolution theorem. So by convolution theorem, this part is going to be f star g x. These two parts you already know, right? Where fx is going to be, what is fx? Fx is going to be L inverse of 3 over p square plus 9, and gx is going to be L inverse of 1 over p square plus 9, and this operator is the f star g is the convolution operator. So I'm directly writing its value. You can solve the integral and get to know the value of this. So finally I am getting y as 1 by 36 2 sine 3x minus 6x cos 3x. This is the value of f star g, plus the other two terms are already there, cos 3x plus c by 3 sine 3x. So this question is done up to here, and now the only thing which is left is to know the value of this c. So how we are going to know the value of c? Yes, how can we determine the value of c? You can use the given initial condition. You are given that y at pi by 2 is equal to 1. So this is the point where I will be using the given information. You are given this, so you put x is equal to pi by 2 and y is equal to 1 in, say this is expression number 1. So when you will be putting x is equal to pi by 2 and y is equal to 1, so you will get the value of c. So I'm directly telling you the value of c which you will be getting from here is going to be minus 19 by 6. So that value you substitute there, and then you combine the terms, because this is sine 3x, this is also sine 3x. So this sine 3x will be taken common and you combine the terms. So finally you will be getting, the final answer is going to be cos 3x minus sine 3x minus x by 6 cos 3x. So this 6 by 36 will be by 6. So this term will be there. Cos 3x will be cos 3x. These two terms on combination, after putting the value of c, you will get this as your final answer. So that means it's not like we cannot solve boundary value problems using the similar concept which we apply to solve initial value problems. It is just we have to wait for the arbitrary constant to be evaluated in the last, right? So that's how it is there. So this is all about this question. Now we are moving ahead towards the second shifting theorem. So for that, we defined this unit step function. So unit step function is defined like 0, x less than 0, 1, x greater than equals to 0. And if the discontinuity is at some other point, some a, then this gets changed like that. The step remains of 1 unit, but the shifting is there. So now why this unit step function is introduced? Because it is having a connection with the Laplace transform. So I'll be defining this second shifting theorem, which is helpful in evaluating Laplace transform, because all of these properties which we are defining, first shifting theorem, property 2, 3, 4, and 5, whichever we have done so far, all of them are contributing in helping us to evaluate Laplace transform or Laplace inverse transform of certain functions, right? So the same thing is going to be done with the second shifting theorem. So what is going to happen here is, okay, let me just first give you an example here. So if I take fx is, say, x square times ux minus 2, that means, say, you already have a unit step function having a discontinuity at certain point, say that point is 2. So what happens if you multiply that function with some other function, say x square? So it is x square times 0, x less than 2, and 1, x greater than equals to 2. So this is the definition of, unit step function. So this is eventually going to be 0, x less than 2, and x square, x greater than equals to 2. So that just gets multiplied inside. X square times 0 is 0, x square times 1 is 1. So these are the some simple calculations you will be requiring in your question. So this is how you do the function multiplication with the unit step function. Now, this is the statement which I am going to give you of second shifting theorem, or also known as property. So if fx be piecewise continuous and of exponential order. So these are the two conditions which we always mention in the start of every theorem, because these are the sufficient condition for a function whose Laplace transform will exist. So if this is there and L of fx is f of p, so we know the Laplace transform of fx. Then, so what is the statement of second shifting theorem is that L of f x minus a u x minus a is equal to e raised to power minus a p f p, right? Means e raised to power minus ap L of fx, because f of p is L of fx. So that means this second shifting theorem is helping us. If you look at the statement of second shifting theorem, it is helping us to find the value of this type of functions, find the Laplace transform of this type of functions, which are defined like this, that some function is there which is multiplied with the unit step function, like this. Say we had an example like this: some function is there, x square multiplied with the unit step function. So if this kind of function is there, and then we can easily find its Laplace transform by this formula. So you just need to know Laplace transform of the function, that is fx, and multiply it with e raised to power minus ap, where p we know is the parameter, a is this, the point of discontinuity in the unit step function, right? So a is the point of jump discontinuity in the function. So you can well relate what will be these kind of functions. These functions will be like, because the function when multiplied with unit step function is actually of the type piecewise defined function. Just like here, I gave you an example of this function. So this function was multiplied with unit step function. So this function itself is a piecewise defined function, means its domain is not it's not continuous over its whole domain, it's having some discontinuity, and at the point of discontinuity the definition of the function changes. So if I ask you a question that we already know how to find Laplace transform of these type of functions which are defined piecewise, whose domains are divided at several points of discontinuity. Suppose you do not know second shifting theorem, but we do have already a technique to find Laplace transform of this kind of functions which are defined piecewise. Yes, so how do we do that? Anybody knows the answer? Yes, we just use, so one way is to find Laplace transform of these functions using the definition of Laplace transform. That whenever you will get some function defined piecewise, say I'll give you an example here. Say, okay, let me just I need some space here. Okay, say you get functions like, say, gx is 0 and x minus 3 square x greater than equal to 3. Suppose this kind of function is there. Then we know that we can find Laplace transform of this by breaking the domain into two parts, because actually the definition of Laplace transform is the integral 0 to infinity e raised to power minus px fx. So instead of fx we have gx here. We know this is the definition, but since the domain is divided like that, so we have to break at the point of discontinuity, and then we just solve these individual integrals separately. We will get the answer. So that means we already know how to do that. So this uh, but this alternate way means using second shifting theorem if we are going to do it. So this is going to make things simpler in some terms, because if the function is a complicated function, sometimes it is difficult to solve the integral. So the technique is already there, but still we are devising another alternate way to find Laplace transform of these kind of functions, where you may get stuck at the integration point and you will not be able to solve it for some particular functions. But this second shifting theorem is going to help you that if you have a piecewise defined function, then you can find its Laplace transform using this result. The challenge is, the point, or you can say the limitation is, that you need to express your function in this form. You will be given functions like this. I needed to write it in a form that it is expressed something like some function multiplication with the unit step function, and unit step function will be at that point where is the point of discontinuity, like 3, right? So I need to express the given function in this form, because if I'll be expressing it in this form, then only I'll be able to use the second shifting theorem. So this part we will learn in the question itself, that how to do this, because to use second shifting theorem you need this representation. Yes, Uday.
I mean, the theorem, it is f of x minus a, ma'am. So, ma'am, here you written f of x, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm coming
Can
to, yeah, I'm coming to that. I will जब हम question करेंगे, I will tell you in detail, because that's why I've left space here. I need to explain more things, right?
okay, ma'am.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So let me first complete the statement. The statement of second shifting theorem is complete. Uh, Now there is the more convenient way of expressing this. Like this statement, I can equivalently write L of fx ux minus a, because for unit step function it's easy, right? Because we know wherever is the point of discontinuity, so it will be u of x minus a. But usually the functions which will be given to us might not be in the form fx minus a. They can be just of the form fx, like they can be x square, they can be sine x. They might not always be x minus 3 square. Like in this question it is of the form x minus a square, where a is the point of discontinuity. But in general, as you will see in some examples, these functions may not be always of the form x minus a. So what to do if they are not of the same form, f x minus a, they can be form of fx. In that case the same result continues. It is just the equivalent is x has to replaced with x plus a. So it's the same statement. It's the same statement that L of fx minus a ux minus a is this. I'm just changing x to x minus a to x. So here it will be balanced by x plus a. So you can treat it like this fx can be written like f x minus a plus a. So this x minus a will give you fx additionally, and a is there. So I'm not going to give you detailed proof, but this is just, you have to remember it like that. That this is how the formula gets transformed. And we'll do questions and then it will be more clear how to use this, because in some questions this form is used, in some questions this form of second shifting property is used, that if your function is of this form then directly it's e raised to power minus ap, but if it is this form then you have to find Laplace transform of the function shifted in the variable x. And one more statement which we can derive from here is about Laplace inverse. So this is, we do with every property. One property we define for Laplace transform, and then we immediately write that what is going to happen with the inverse. So with the inverse, so Laplace inverse. So for defining inverse, I'm using this one. So let me call this star. Let me call this double star. So I'm using star to write the equivalent expression for Laplace inverse. So Laplace inverse of e raised to power minus ap fp or L of fx is going to be fx minus a, ux minus a. So this is, we have these three expressions now which will be used in the questions depending upon. So these are, all of these three are the statements of second shifting theorem only. They are equivalent. Depending upon what we need to use, we will use them. So second shifting theorem sometimes will be used to find Laplace transform of these kind of functions piecewise defined, and in some cases it will be used for finding Laplace inverse of certain kind of functions, right? So we will do all kind of questions and then we'll see how to use them. But first I will explain you this part, that I told you that you are given function in this form, they are defined at discontinuity in this way, you need to express it in this form. So let me give you a way how to express, given piecewise defined functions in the form of unit step functions, right? So I'm directly telling you the way, you can test it over the examples and see how this is going to be true. So this is, suppose you are given gx as g1x, g2x, where say a is the point of discontinuity. Then now this form is given to me in the question. When I see the function is this and I need to find its Laplace transform, immediately what will come to my mind? Okay, now I will be using second shifting property. But to use second shifting property, I need to express it in some form. So how to do that? That I am telling you. So this gx is going to be g1x plus g2x minus g1x into unit step function x minus a, where a is the same point where we have the discontinuity in the original function, right? So you can check it now for any example, that why this is going to be true. Now I'm going to show you for the example which we just considered. So in that example you were given the function 0 when x lies from 0 to 3, and x minus 3 square when x greater than equals to 3. So using this formula, so let me call this A. So formula A gives gx is equal to g1x. G1x means the upper one, which is 0, plus, then I have to write g2 minus g1, means this minus this. So it is x minus 3 square minus 0 into unit step function of x minus 3. So this is x minus 3 square into ux minus 3, which is x minus 3 square into, what is ux minus 3? 0 if x is less than 3 and 1 if x is greater than equals to 3, right? So you can see it's the same function which is given to you, x minus 3 square into 0, and x minus 3 square into 1 is x minus 3 square. So this form is same as the this form. So we will be given in this form, then we will be expressing it in this particular form. So you can see now it is of the form f of x minus 3 u of x minus 3, because let me show you the expression. Yeah, we wanted this form fx minus a into ux minus a, or we could also have it in fx into ux minus a. So if it is easy to express in this form depending on the function, then we will be using this star form of second shifting theorem, otherwise we will be using this one. Okay, let me just ask. Yes, Uday.
Ma'am, here in the double star formula, ma'am, here in when we convert put x in x plus instead of x, so ma'am, in u of x minus a, it would change to u
No,
of x, na?
no, that's not going to change. That's not going to change. That's why I told you that it may seem to you कि directly मैंने वहीं से derive किया, but actually this is not the derivation.
Okay, ma'am.
तो अब वो आप elaborate करके prove करके देखोगे, वो unit step function को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, because you can't change the point of discontinuity. You are not changing the point where discontinuity is there in the function. Okay, it is just the function is expressed in a different form. Okay, मीन्स अब यहाँ पे यही फंक्शन जो है, अब इसकी 3 पे डिसकंटिन्यूटी है, जो मैंने ये एग्जांपल लिया जी एक्स, बट अगर ये x माइनस थ्री का स्क्वायर नहीं होके एक्स स्क्वायर होता है यहाँ पे, राइट, मीन्स वो एफ एक्स की फॉर्म में है, x माइनस थ्री का स्क्वायर नहीं है, बट डिसकंटिन्यूटी तो फिर भी उसकी 3 पे ही है ना. Are you getting this? वो तो domain will be divided at that point wherever is the point of discontinuity. Now at the point of discontinuity its form, जो उसकी फॉर्म है वो एफ एक्स टाइप भी हो सकते हैं, मीन्स एक्स का फंक्शन भी हो सकता है और एक्स माइनस ए टाइप का फंक्शन भी हो सकता है. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. दैट्स व्हाई यूनिट स्टेप फंक्शन में वो एक्स माइनस ए ही रहता है, बिकॉज यूनिट स्टेप फंक्शन डिनोट्स द डिसकंटिन्यूटी एट द पॉइंट ए. So let me proceed using this formula for this question. Like we have now expressed it in this form gx, and suppose our question was find this Laplace transform of gx, where this is how the gx is defined to us. Then now I have expressed, just a minute. Yes, Tanmay, just hold on. We will do this in many questions. How to way to express piecewise discontinuity. We'll do it in 3 to 4 questions. Then you can see that again how we are doing it. Okay, so let me just write it. Now we have got our function in this form: fx minus 3 qx minus 3, because it is giving. And what was fx? Sorry. What was fx minus 3? That was x minus 3 square. So now you use your second shifting property to find Laplace transform. So Laplace transform of this, so जो हमने star define किया है, that Laplace transform of fx minus a into ux minus a is e raised to power minus ap. A is 3, the point of discontinuity, into p, into Laplace transform of fx. So what is fx now? If this is fx minus 3, then what is fx? Fx is x square. And what is Laplace transform of fx? It is 2 by pq. So 2 by pq. So this is the answer. You see, merely learning that how to express the piecewise defined function in the unit step function form is just, it's very easy after using the second shifting property. You can try doing the similar question using the basic definition of Laplace transform also, and you can then compare. Right? So in this, we were given a function like this, we expressed it in this form, we used the second shifting property and figured out its Laplace transform. So let me do more questions on this. Things will be better understood then. How x minus 3 square became fx minus 3, whatever it can be. See, we got gx x minus 3 square into ux minus 3. You can see from here, this is how using this formula a I got this form. Now whatever is x minus 3 square, whatever is multiplied with unit step function, you just conveniently denoted this is some f function, because I need to just know my function in the form sum function into u function. So that sum function, it is just notation. We are denoting it by f. It can be anything. It could be sin x, it can be cos x. Let me do the next question. Your doubts will be cleared if you have any. So the example 2. So the same statement, find Laplace transform of gx 0 cos x 0 to pi by 2, x greater than equals to pi by 2. Now again you can argue here that this question, if you try by definition, then also you can do, but we want to learn how to use it using second shifting theorem. So for that I need to first write it in this form. So gx is g1x plus g2x minus g1x into ux minus a. What is a here? Pi by 2, because that is the point of discontinuity, pi by 2, right? So g1x is 0, the upper one, plus cos x minus 0 into unit step x minus pi by 2. So this is cos x multiplied with u x minus pi by 2. So I have got my function gx in the form I wanted to be able to use the second shifting theorem. So second shifting theorem requires either this form, that some function of x minus a into ux minus a, or it can be some function of x into ux minus a. So in the previous question we were getting this form, but in this, you see here we have x minus pi by 2, but here we have just cosine of x. We do not have x is something like x minus pi by 2. It is simply x. So in this case I'll be using the second formula, which is the double star, which is the equivalent of this, that this Laplace transform of this is equal to e raised to power minus ap f Laplace transform of f x plus a. So this case it is going to be e raised to power minus pi by 2 into p, because a is pi by 2, into Laplace transform of cosine x plus pi by 2. So it's just easy to remember. You don't need to cram these formulas. It's easy to remember. You multiply with e raised to power minus ap and multiply with the Laplace transform of the function, whichever is multiplied with the unit step function. So if it is of the form x minus pi by 2, take it as fx. If it is other form, then add plus a to it to balance the things. Now you need to do this calculation. Yes, tell me, what is Laplace transform of cos x plus pi by 2? How will you do that? Yes. What you can do here? Cos of pi by 2 plus x can be written as minus sin x, right? Easy. Minus can come outside, linearity property. Laplace transform of sin x is 1 over p square plus 1. So we got our answer minus e raised to minus p pi by 2 over p square plus 1. This is, sorry, not yeah, this is gx. यहाँ तक gx था, but इसके बाद ये L of gx. Yeah, now this is L of gx, the Laplace transform of the required function. Okay, is that clear to everyone, or still you have doubts? Is it clear to everyone? Right. So let me give you, you can say, further formula, that if your function is defined, so you can say this is formula A again. In formula A, I told you we have the function defined piecewise, but suppose you have, you know, 3 pieces of your function. Your domain is divided into 3 subparts, say 0 to A to B, and then B to infinity, or however you want to write it, x greater than equals to B. So instead of 2, there are 3, right? So here, how you will express this in the unit step function form, so that you are able to use second shifting theorem. So it's easy. So in this case, we will be doing g1x plus g2 minus g1 into unit step function x minus a. Now why a is here? Because when you are considering only g1 and g2, the common point, the point of discontinuity is a. So unit step function will be u of x minus a. Now there will be an additional term because of the third function. So this will be g3x minus g2x, and this time it is unit step function x minus b, because the discontinuity in the combination of g2 and g3 is at the point b. So this is the difference in this formula and formula A. In formula A, we had only 2, so there was only 1 point of discontinuity. But if you keep adding the pieces to your function, so the terms are going to be added. Similarly, if I add a fourth function g4, so one more function will be added. One more term will be added, g4 minus g3 into unit step function x minus c, where c is the point of discontinuity. So ये आपको ध्यान रखना है. A, this is B, so it's easy. G1 first, and then G2 minus G1, then G3 minus G2, and so on. You keep on doing this. So once you write your function in this form, after that we know you use the second shifting property or theorem to get your answer. So let me now give you another type of question, because I told you the second shifting property is having, both usages, to find Laplace transform and to find Laplace inverse transform, right? And let me now just show you what was the formula. Laplace inverse transform, yeah, this was this 3-star. Laplace inverse of e raised to power minus ap fp is this. So it's clear from this formula number 3 stars that you want to compute Laplace inverse using this second shifting property. Then you don't need to express your function in a unit step function, right? Because Laplace inverse will be taken on the other side. It will be taken on the function of p. So what is the identification point? How you will recognize that in what questions you will be finding Laplace inverse using second shifting property? Because we already know Laplace inverse can be found using convolution theorem also. We already know Laplace inverse can be found by standard formulas also. But here I'm telling you the Laplace inverse can be found using second shifting theorem also. So what is the difference? This is what you have to understand. How will you identify when to use second shifting property to find a Laplace inverse of a given function? Yes. Can anybody tell by looking at the formula? How will you get to know that you have to use second shifting property to find inverse Laplace? Yes, e raised to power minus ap, because if only our function is of this kind, e raised to power minus ap is present there, only then we are going to make second shifting property, because it includes a condition of this kind. It is not L inverse of fp. For any general function, we cannot use the second shifting property, right? So this is the identification. So let me just give you the question now. So the question will be obviously the same type, so that you yourself will be identifying that, okay, in this question I have to use the second shifting property. So find Laplace inverse of e raised to power minus ap over, say, p minus 3 square. So the formula which we are going to use here is e raised to power minus ap into fp. The answer is f x minus a u x minus a, where what is f? U to we already know. What is f? F is Laplace inverse transform of fp. We know that connection is already there. That small f is always the inverse Laplace transform of the capital F. So in this you need to identify e raised power minus ap into fp. This is of this form. So where fp is 1 over p minus 3 square. So I need to find small fx, which is L inverse of fp. Yes, what is L inverse of 1 over p minus 3 square? Yes, what is that? What is L inverse of 1 over p minus 3 whole square? Yes, Harkirat, you're asking when to use second shifting property is this only, because the second shifting property for computing Laplace inverse transform is this formula, which I have written here, right? So you can see from the function, the type of function for which you are computing the inverse is of this type, e raised to power minus ap into fp, right? So कोई भी p का फंक्शन होना चाहिए, उसके साथ e रेस्ट टू पावर माइनस ap वाला फैक्टर मल्टीप्लाई होना चाहिए. a मतलब a की वैल्यू भी हो सकती है 2p 3p minus 3p plus 4p और कुछ फ्रैक्शन whatever a is. So if you have a this kind of function, then you use the second shifting property to find this. Yes, so I'm asking what is Laplace inverse of 1 over p minus 3 whole square. So this is, yes, so this is, you will be using first shifting theorem. First shifting theorem was e raised to power 3x L inverse of 1 over p square. So p is changed to p minus 3. So आप L inverse 1 by p square का find करो और minus 3 से जो है उससे हमारे e raised to power 3x का फैक्टर आ जाएगा. And Laplace inverse of 1 by p square is x. So I got my fx is x into e raised to power 3x. So according to second shifting property, this Laplace inverse of this is going to be fx minus a. अब यहाँ पे a क्या है, ये वाला पॉइंट. सो वो a तो हमें गिवन नहीं है, सो लेट इट बी a का कुछ स्पेसिफिक वैल्यू भी हो सकता था, बट हियर इट्स नॉट देयर, सो इट्स जस्ट fx minus a into ux minus a. Now you know fx is x e raised to power 3x. So fx minus a will be x minus a e raised to power 3 x minus a into ux minus a, and that is the answer. Because a, there is no specific value of a, it's just this form. Now up to you that whether you want to further simplify it or you can leave the answer in terms of unit step function. That's perfectly acceptable because the answer is coming to be in terms of the unit step function always. So the important part in this question is evaluate correctly small f. So small f you evaluate and then change x to x minus a and get your answer. Yes, so this was about the usage of second shifting property in finding Laplace transform as well as Laplace inverse transform. So we are left with the one question type of this in which we will be using unit step functions and to find the solution of initial value problems. I'll take that question next time because that's a lengthy question. Yeah, if you have any doubts now you can ask me. I'll be sharing these notes with you. You can see from there. Yeah, for previous lecture, I already uploaded notes. For this today, I will upload by today only. Yes, Ishan.
मैम जो पिछला क्वेश्चन था जिसमें g ऑफ x इक्वल टू cos x इंटू यू ऑफ एक्स माइनस पाई बाय टू, सपोज उसमें cos ऑफ x माइनस पाई बाय टू होता तो हम cos ऑफ x माइनस पाई बाय टू को f ऑफ x माइनस a के इक्वल लेते हैं.
Sorry, cos of x minus pi by 2 होता तो
सपोज मैम ये सिंगल स्टार की फॉर्म
हाँ
में
हाँ
होता, नॉट डबल.
हाँ,
तो
बस
फिर
तो यहाँ
जैसे
पे
हमने इससे
प्लस
पिछले
पाई बाय
क्वेश्चन,
2. हाँ, तो यहाँ पे बस प्लस नहीं होना था, तो यहाँ पे सिंपली L of cos x आ जाता क्योंकि
हाँ
ये
वो
ये
जैसे
हाँ या ये फॉर्मूला है e रेस्ट पर माइनस ए पी एल ऑफ एफ एक्स. मीन्स अगर ऑलरेडी x में x माइनस ए है तो इधर सिर्फ x आता है, अगर इधर x है तो इधर आपको उसको बैलेंस करने के लिए प्लस से करना पड़ता है. आप इसको ऐसे याद रख सकते हो. सो फिर सिर्फ cos x आता है यहाँ पे, प्लस पाई बाय 2 नहीं आता अगर यहाँ पे cos x माइनस पाई बाय 2 होता तो.
ऑलराइट मैम, थैंक यू.
या the notes are uploaded on Google site. Means the link I have shared on LMS. The same page where I upload the video lecture links. So on the same page as a PDF file, I have uploaded the notes. Not all previous lectures. It will take some time to upload the previous lectures, but at least these recent lectures I have uploaded there. Yes, Vidushi.
Can you explain that first question you did of differential equation?
Okay, just a moment. First. Yeah, so what was there in first question? How it was different, that it was a boundary value problem, because usually जब हम यहाँ पे formula use करते हैं तो we have y0 y dash 0, so we need y and y dash both at the point 0, but you are not given y dash 0, instead additionally you are given y at some other point. So at some other point तो last में use होगा, but अभी के लिए क्योंकि हमें calculation continue रखना है तो y dash 0 को हम assume कर लेते हैं that it is some constant c. Right? We do not know that value, but we just put that value to be c. And then we drag that c along with all the calculations. उसको last तक हम c ही रखते हैं. तो जब final सारा method मतलब हो जाता है solve, y की value आ जाती है. So the final solution contains this c. So to
इसमें
get
ये इक्वेशन बनी है y is equals to इसमें π/2 और 1 रख देंगे ना।
हाँ, जो भी मतलब जो भी आपको एक्स्ट्रा कंडीशन थी जो अभी तक आपने यूज नहीं करी है, जो सेकंड कंडीशन थी, वी डिड नॉट यूज दैट, तो वो आप यूज करके, वो दूसरी कंडीशन किसी फॉर्म में भी हो सकती है। ये दूसरी कंडीशन y डैश के फॉर्म में भी हो सकती है। हो सकता है y डैश एट π/2 गिवन होता, तो आपको फिर y से पहले y डैश निकालना पड़ता, फिर उसमें आप सब्स्टिट्यूट करते। तो वो
मैम लास्ट जो आंसर लिखा है ये कैसे आएगा मैम, जो 3 टर्म्स में?
ये कंबाइन हो जाएंगे, ये दोनों टर्म्स तो सेम है। देखो cos 3x लिख दिया, ये -6/36 है, x cos 3x, तो -x/6 ये वाली टर्म है। तो ये 2 sin 3x है, जब ये c की वैल्यू इसमें आएगी, आप ये डालोगे तो यही आएगा फिर आंसर आपका। मीन्स वो आप कैलकुलेशन वेरीफाई कर सकते हो।
ओके मैम।
या वो c की वैल्यू रखने के बाद ये टर्म्स कंबाइन हो जाएंगी, वो एलसीएम लेके यू कैन सॉल्व एंड गेट टू नो द आंसर। Because I have taken this question because I saw these kind of questions in the tutorial sheet, that otherwise usually we teach only initial value problems, but we can do with boundary value problems also if this technique is there. Yes, Uday, you have a doubt?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, तो फिर बाउंड्री वैल्यू प्रॉब्लम में फर्क क्या हुआ मैम?
आपको जो conditions given थी, the two conditions were given at a different point, right? You were given the conditions at two different points. आपके
Okay,
पास y डैश 0 गिवन नहीं था, बट कुछ होगा तो ना, वो मींस फंक्शन 0 पे डिफाइंड है, उसका डेरिवेटिव भी 0 पे डिफाइंड है, आपको गिवन नहीं है, तो इसलिए वी जस्ट अज्यूम्ड इट इज अ कांस्टेंट, राइट? वो हमने एक तरह से बाउंड्री वैल्यू प्रॉब्लम को इनिशियल वैल्यू प्रॉब्लम की तरह ट्रीट किया, वो वैल्यू जो पता नहीं थी उसको अज्यूम कर लिया एंड देन वी सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन। इट्स बट दैट डज नॉट चेंज द प्रॉब्लम कि प्रॉब्लम आईवीपी बन गई है। जो गिवन है मींस वो नाम है, हो सकता है आपको ऐसा क्वेश्चन है उसमें बाउंड्री वैल्यू वर्ड वो यूज ही नहीं कर रहे हैं, दे आर जस्ट सेइंग सॉल्व द डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशन विद दीस टू गिवन कंडीशंस, सो द नेम डज नॉट मैटर, मींस यू शुड नो व्हाट इट इज, बट better you should know the technique.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, that's all for today. We are done with time. The rest of the things we'll take up tomorrow. Yeah, thank you.